Introduce everybody to Miss Stephanie. She is going to be in the Rise Unlimited Psychic Spa and is our somatic health counselor. But beyond that, she has a background in therapy. And so because of that, as we all know, as we're facing, social distancing and isolation, there can emerge stress, fear, uncertainty in times like this. And we had discussed just sending out emails, and it occurred to me that we collectively need to see each other. And so instead of just sending you an email with her tips and tools, I asked Stephanie to come on and do a video with us so that you guys could feel a sense of community and feel a sense of compassion and have that empathic touch through video. So Stephanie, I'm going to hand it over to you with just the first initial tips when it comes to uncertainty and stress and the fear that people are facing.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Crazy times that we are living in right now. And so I wanted to hop on here with Willow today to just kind of first offer just compassion for whatever you're going through. This can be a really uncertain time. And whenever we're uncertain, our brain likes to try to create stories and fill in the gaps of what we're uncertain about to try and gain a sense of control. And so one piece that can be supportive is just attending to what is actually in your control. So we don't know how things are going to unfold in our world right now. We don't know what is even potentially going on in our own body. So what is in your control is how you take care of yourself. What is in your control is how you want to move your body in your own home. What is in your control is how you want to spend your time or the thoughts that you're thinking. So if you find yourself stuck in worry, a lot of what I'm even recommending to my clients these days is give yourself worry time. Schedule it into your day. Give yourself like 30 minutes, like, okay, for these 30 minutes, I'm going to worry and I'm just going to like play it out in my head. And then once those 30 minutes are done, put the treasure chest of worries away and attend to something else.
Yeah.
So that your day isn't this low hum of worry all day long.
Right. And I want to speak to worry just real fast on sort of a spiritual implication of worry and what worry looks like on a spiritual sense. Worry is us hitting the fast forward button and like imagining worst case scenario. Like we're not actually in it. Usually when we're in worry, we're not in the present moment of our day. So for Stephanie saying schedule this and say put a 30-minute cap on worry, it's giving you the opportunity to, one, be compassionate for yourself, because fear is real and it's okay to have it. It's totally okay to experience fear and it's going to live here, and the uncertainty is real and that's okay to live there. But what it is, what the brain is trying to do is work out all the future forecasting scenarios of what might this become if XYZ don't come into play or do come into play. So I want you to recognize that really what worry is the future, and we're not there yet. And we don't know. And honestly, even the news, it feels like on a day-to-day basis, we're getting our best worst case scenarios being played out in the news. And so as well with that, after you're done with your 30 minutes of worry, I would also probably, with your suggestion, I imagine as well, Stephanie, turn off the fucking TV, guys. Don't watch the news. Watch an Adam Sandler movie instead.
Right. Don't keep the news on all day long. Because it basically is pushing your body out of parasympathetic nervous system and into sympathetic nervous system, where when our cortisol level, our stress hormone increases in our body, we're more likely to have cravings. We're more likely to want to emotionally eat. We're more likely to want to choose the sugary, fatty, processed foods, which right now are a huge focus, just that you're probably being bombarded with all over the place, is boosting our immune system. So even just the simple act of thinking different thoughts, of deep belly breathing, taking breaks throughout your day and just closing your eyes, turning off the news, getting away from your computer, stop Googling, and just taking some 3 deep belly breaths is going to move.
Can you show us what that looks like, that deep belly breath? For those who are really, I think the breath is something that we reserve. If I'm honest, our perilous is tight butt, not breathing. It's my true belief that especially the mamas of the world, I don't know, the day I had children, like was the day I stopped breathing. It's like I withhold my breath. So like if I hold my breath, no one can get hurt. You know, it's like when you're in a car accident, the first thing that you do is go, that's our reaction when we are in fear and uncertainty. So will you model the breath for us, Stephanie?
Yeah, I'm going to move my computer down to my belly. This is my belly and my large oversized sweater today because it's cold. So I'll just put my hands on my belly and will visibly try and push my hands out. So you can see my hands move out, and then I relax my belly and let my hands move closer to my abdomen again. And you might even feel your sides expand as well. So you can also put your hands on your side and feel your hands also expand outward. So it's not just you get to play with your breath, but it's really, there's also like in yogic breathing, there's a 3-part breath where you can start at your belly, breathe in through your belly, then have it move up, and then breathe in through your chest and feel your chest expand. And then 3-part breath down, you like exhale, let your chest relax, let your belly relax, and then do it again. So I would play around with just breath work in general. This could be a really great time to do that. And the breath can ultimately feel incredibly grounding. It is the thing that's in your control. Like you have control to focus on your breath. It is the thing that is a constant. We need to keep breathing through this time. And then the more that you breathe, the more that you'll actually be guiding your body back into a relaxation response, feeling more grounded, boosting your immune system, and feeling more in alignment and grounded and connected to yourself to be like, okay, how do I want to nourish myself physically and emotionally through this time?
Yeah. Just for our listeners as well, one of the great resources that's available right now is a gentleman named Wim Hof. And he's kind of like a quote unquote big deal in the autoimmune world, but as well, he really speaks to the presence of the breath. And that when we are in worry, if we move from worry to breath. So again, I would say after that 30 minutes of your worry time, schedule another 30 minutes of just conscious breathing, intentional in, out breathing, and engage your children. Should you have kids, engage your family. Should you have family, for everybody to take that time to really intentionally breathe in and breathe out. The breath is, again, from a spiritual standpoint, it is our existence. If we're not breathing, guys, we're dead. So in the breath, it's an invitation for your spirit to exist here as well. The exhale of the breath is truly the breathing out of the worry. It's the breathing out of the energy that just isn't serving you. Whereas the breath in is igniting your cellular system and putting energy in every cell of your being. And again, bringing in new possibilities and new potential. So on a spiritual level, the breath is also a way for us to experience transition and transformation. And with the unknown, what I notice with the breath is that our bodies are constantly showing us what it feels like to be in the unknown. Just at the tip of our exhale, when we're just out of breath, for whatever reason, we feel a sense of panic and urgency to bring the breath in, and then we're full again. And just like that, as soon as we're full, we have to let the breath out again. And we get really stuck on this idea of balance. And this is such a word that we use when things are going well, is I just want balance in my life. Well, this is a moment in time where we can experience balance from the state of the breath, because balance really lives in that teeny tiny little second that takes place between the inhale and the exhale. It's right in the middle, right here, and it only lasts a second. So that's the true essence of balance, is that second between the breath. That's when we're actually at our sort of peak pose in our example of balance, is right in that breath. So again, the inhale brings in new energy. The exhale lets go of the worry and anxiety.
Yeah. And so along with, after your breath work, let's bring in just physical movement.
Yeah.
And so if you are doing social distancing right now and maybe staying home, and a lot of gyms have closed, a lot of yoga studios have closed, give yourself an opportunity to get creative around how you want to move your body in your home. You know, whether it's yoga at home, whether it's gentle stretching, whether it's taking a run around your neighborhood or a walk around your neighborhood, that this like moving our bodies can get us embodied and grounded in the present moment, that right here and right now we are safe and everything is going to be all right.
Yeah. And I want to emphasize the going outside for those of you not in really sincerely congested areas, or if you're in places where you are allowed to leave your house. Cause I do know that like Seattle, you're not allowed to leave your house right now. But if you're allowed to go outside beyond your backyard, really do take advantage of this time to go outside. The other thing is you can go for a drive and drive yourself to a remote area and then go for a walk, but get your heart rate up, because again, to de-stress helps if you raise your heart rate. And what does that mean? Like when we raise our heart and our rate, we're sort of raising our vibration and our love. Sorry to get cheesy on you, Steph, but I had to.
Love it. It's great. It's great. And so I think the one piece that can be kind of supportive during this time is because if you're social distancing or quarantine or, you know, the grocery stores are really interesting right now, is that those foods that you feel like you've had such a difficult time taking out of your daily eating, like sugar, for example, which tends to dampen our immune system. Like this can be a really great time, especially if you are experiencing more space to relax, more time for yourself than maybe you usually have the opportunity to create for yourself, that this is a great time to actually explore, those foods that I feel really attached to, could I actually utilize this time as an opportunity to experiment and take out the foods that I know on some level, maybe my body doesn't resonate with, to even get more. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say it's easy right now to do it because you can't find it on the goddamn shelves, people. Like starch and bread and pretzels and candy and sugar. Somehow everybody went to the store and grabbed all that shit along with the frozen foods and whatnot. But there are fresh vegetables at the supermarket. Now, granted, it would be our suggestion that maybe either you really wash those and give them 3 days in the refrigerator before eating, just because we know that the virus lives on surface, or if you cook it, you're fine. So it's a great time to experiment with all those cookbooks that you may have bought. Fresh, real
and it's
vegetables.
Really funny. People keep sending me their pictures of their like empty grocery stores, and I'm like, why is no one buying the zucchini? like all the vegetables that I normally go towards, no one is buying the cucumbers and the zucchini, and I'm like, there's a really great opportunity that peel the skin off, cook it, leave it for a couple of days, make sure you feel safe in eating it. But this is a really great time to explore taking in more whole natural food.
And one of the things that helps to kill even virus as well, guys, is things like vinegar. You can wipe your foods off with vinegar and actually cook with vinegar. Salt is a lovely preservative. That's going to help preserve you and your food. Again, I would recommend a high concentrate of salt. So you're looking at more of the help me out here, Stephanie, what's the word I'm looking for in terms of the salt, the alkaline salts, not the ionized salt per se. Would you agree?
Himalayan pink, you're not talking about Himalayan pink sea salt. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're allowed to get, if it's in your budget and you can get the good shit, get the good shit. But there's lots of ways to clean your veggies. Don't steer away from produce just because it's whatevs. Have a couple frozen vegetables, sure, but focus on the fresh if you can.
Yeah. And I think lastly, just like we're doing here right now, I've lovely to connect with Willow right now, even just through Zoom. And so, if you are social distancing, if you are quarantined, if you are maybe not as in person connected to your community, still reach out to your community. Find ways to connect, Zoom, Skype, phone call, FaceTime. Facebook Live, do a Facebook Live so people could reach out to you just randomly. And so, just get creative in that feeling connected to our community and our surroundings also helps boosts our immune system, helps us feel like we're all in this together. It helps us feel more connected to ourselves. And so just because we may be physically more isolated right now doesn't mean we have to be verbally and mentally and spiritually disconnected from those around us.
That's right. That's right. And then you had also mentioned something about just some immune boosting sort of thoughts. Like, we do know vitamin C is an obvious one perhaps, but is there anything else that you can think in terms of, like, if we were to go get herbs or have a thought process around boosting our immune? Because it's not about combating it once we have it, it's about combating it before we have it.
Yeah, so zinc is a big one right now. Yes, definitely vitamin C, even vitamin D3. It acts more like a hormone in our body than a vitamin, and is connected to so many different interactions and things in our body to support our immune system and our health and well-being. So vitamin D3, especially if you are potentially going outside less, can be supportive. And just like herbs and stuff, like start getting super creative in the kitchen and cooking with things like turmeric and garlic and oregano and basil and rosemary and cilantro. All of these have so many immune boosting properties. And
as well as anti-inflammatory properties. And I want to speak, if you don't mind that interruption. It turns out, guys, I don't know how, I try not to get too invested in the news and what things are, but one of the things I recently read is that steroids and ibuprofens or Motrins, that sort of thing, are making this thing worse, and they can't figure out why. They can't figure out, but they're saying even if you're taking it now, it lowers your immune system and it makes you more susceptible. So if you're somebody who is suffering with body aches, headaches, any of that kind of achiness, really focus on turmeric, quercetin. I do know cilantro really helps to like move out and cleanse some of the more metallic particles in our systems. So that also helps with the anti-inflammatory. But the more veggies that you eat, the more grains that you eat, the less inflammation you will suffer.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is like one of my favorite just immune boosting tinctures is by Wish Garden.
I love Wish Garden.
It's called Kick-Ass Immune. And again, like, this isn't like, if you have it already, this isn't going to like heal you or anything like that. Like, all we're talking about is just like helping your body and functioning optimally. And they have a blend in there that's just like echinacea and elderberry and all the things that are a little bit more alternative, if you want to call them that. That can also just help your immune system as well. So they have a Kick-Ass Immune and they have a Get Over It that are awesome.
Right. I agree with that totally. And I want to speak to sort of the support aspect of this, because we're talking about sort of the internal support of our immune system. But I have to tell you guys that when you are investing on the internal support of your body, you are getting additional placebo out of that, because your experience of self-care actually takes it out here. So when we think about sort of the auric energetic space of protection, when you feel good about yourself, when your vibration in here is feeling great, it inevitably like creates this special bubble around you of energy. You actually sort of repel bad news. You repel things that don't fit in the system. Those of us who exercise in self-care and are fit internally, and I say that not from like a fitness exercise standpoint, but from like a articulating delightful foods and herbs and healthcare inside of our systems, we tend not to get as sick as some. I suffer autoimmune and I still rarely find myself sick because I care so deeply. And I do feel that I have sort of a very clear repellent always around me, just from my energy that I have created for myself.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't follow me, you can find me at Stephanie Mera, both on Facebook and Instagram. But I wrote a post yesterday that was, when our stress levels increase, our self-care has to increase, because stress levels can, basically affect our immune system. And so we have to kind of tip the balance of like, okay, acknowledge like feeling stress is not a bad thing. It's how we interpret the stress showing up, that it's like, okay, can I befriend my stress? Thanks so much for showing up. I appreciate you telling me this is how I'm processing this a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then increase your level of self-care so that you feel connected to yourself of like, okay, I got this, I can navigate this, which is then going to, you know, help your body navigate whatever's showing up with so much more ease.
Right. And again, what is in our control right now, as Stephanie has said multiple times, is our ability to create a self-care routine for ourselves in this. And something that I've really noticed showing up here as well is like in previous time periods, one of the greatest excuses I hear from people is, I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. And now you don't have an excuse. Even if your kids are at home, you don't have an excuse. I was able to like start laundry, work out, and do like 9 things this morning before my child even rose from her bed. So there is time. And if you're even working from home, you can be multitasking a bit more. You can be preparing dinner for yourselves. There's time to cook. There's time to clean. There's time to take a hot bath. There's time to care for yourself right now. And if we look at time, not as what we're missing, but what we have now as a bonus and a benefit of this experience, we have time to really care for ourselves and even our families in this time period.
Yeah, I think this can be a really great time to, if you could like wave a magic wand, and in like a total dream world, you were like, oh, this would be, if I had the time, this would how I would want to schedule my day. Live a day like that. Actually write it down. In my dream world, this is the schedule that I would want to live every day for myself. Actually, if you have the time to do it right now, give yourself that opportunity. Write it down and actually live that day. And sure, it might not be perfect since maybe you're social distancing or not going out to the places that you thought you would want to go to, but you can still do those things at home.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Any last thoughts, tools, tips, considerations that you want to leave our folks with today?
Yeah. I think just take it one moment at a time. One day at a time. You know, like you were talking about before, Willow, that worry is just futurizing thoughts and like trying to gain some kind of control over what the future holds for us. And we don't know that. Yeah. So I think that if we're gonna support all of like support in connection, support our bodies in thriving, just flowing through this time with as much ease as possible is like really just slowing everything down so that you could be like, okay, what do I want to think? What do I want to do? How do I want to be in just this moment? And then the next moment, and then the next moment. So we just get to keep inviting in that relaxation response back into our body.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. All right, everybody. I just want to thank you for tuning in today. And I will put all of Stephanie's links below. So if you're needing additional food, health, or even mental support during this time period, you can schedule with Stephanie. She is taking appointments online and is here for you guys during this time period as much as I am and as much as any of our teammates are. So just know that you're not alone in this time period. Know that you have support and backup and that you do not have to alone this thing. We are all in it together, and we are coming to you as often as possible with tips and tools to help you guys thrive in this most magnificent moment of our lives. All right, you guys, lots of love. Peace in.